Hey, welcome to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM 89.0, ArrowFM in the Wire Rapper, and Manawatu People's Radio. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Adio.
We gotta talk about Fastlane. There's so much stuff on there. But before we get there, let's talk about a couple things that happened on Raw and Smackdown that are not impacting the Fastlane stuff. And my number one for that is going to be that we have a new US champ.
Yeah. I'm a little disappointed R-Truth lost the title already. He was having so much fun with stuff on the social media and things. But I'm fine with... I'm happy with the person that won the title off of him. Mm-hmm. Because if anybody was going to do it, might as well have been Samoa Joe.
I saw some inklings of Mysterio versus Andrade for the title, potentially at WrestleMania, but again, that's something that doesn't necessarily need the title behind it to be a match, as we'll talk about a little bit on Fastlane when we look at that. As you said, Samoa Joe hasn't had a whole lot of success on the main roster per se, so picking up the title here, it'll be interesting to see what he can do with it, given that on TV there hasn't been a whole lot done with this title recently. So
I expect a big match for the title at WrestleMania.
I'd hope.
I'm there's no hoping. I'm expecting it.
Okay.
I am expecting the match we expected last year to happen this year, now that Joe is healthy.
You're expecting me to have memory enough to remember last year.
Joe versus John Cena.
Okay. Sorry, Lars Sullivan. Yeah, I could see it. I feel like anyone who's holding the US title has a nice, easy, instant feud with John Cena. But yeah, I'll nod along to that. It's not crazy. Not crazy at all. And then also on Raw, Heavy Machinery picking up some wins.
They won a gauntlet match.
That's all. Just they're picking up some wins. I don't have much else.
And Hawkins and Ryder lost again.
Yeah. They're going to continue to lose. I feel like there's got to be some payoff to this Kurt Hawkins thing, but the longer you wait, the funnier the payoff's going to be, so I don't know. I don't hold out hope that there ever will be a payoff. In the upcoming Superstar shakeup, I can definitely see him being one of the guys who moves down to NXT. If that is indeed the way that some shakes will happen.
I'd be fine with that, provided that Zack Ryder got shooken out of the company entirely.
I have no rebuttal. I saw one crazy theory that was along the lines of the shuffle comes up and it's like Kurt Hawkins is drawn or picked or whatever to go down to NXT. And Zack Ryder has to decide whether they get shuffled down as a tag team or whether Kurt's getting shuffled down on his own. Causing sort of a rift between the friendship that seems to have erupted. But I just foresee him falling down to NXT, probably as a tag team. I wouldn't be surprised. Not out of the company.
What I would do is I would have whatever randomization or whatever they chose to display that he was going down. Make his final match against Zack Ryder and have him finally win the end of the streak.
You just want that because it'll make Zack Ryder look stupid. No can do. But what we can do is talk about Fastlane. The Revival, they defended their titles against Aleister Black and Ricochet. Match didn't end all too cleanly, and now we got ourselves a triple threat tag team match at Fastlane. What do we expect to happen here?
Well, the only thing I expect to happen here is Gable and Roode are winning.
So we'll eliminate them. We'll take them out of the equation. Revival or Black and Ricochet? It's a tough question, I know.
Well, I'm gonna guess the Revival will win. Despite my every fiber in my being wanting to say Ricochet and Black.
You sounded so depressed there. It was pretty obvious who you want to win. So it's a head says Revival, heart says Black and Ricochet. Okay, we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. But the Raw Tag Team division has been noted as being one of the fairly weaker divisions, and I think now Revival holding the belts. You got Aleister Black and Ricochet coming after them. Gable and Roode still sitting around. Heavy Machinery exist, getting a bit of a push. And then you got your three fodder teams of the B team, the Ascension, and Ryder and Hawkins still sitting around that can get kicked around whenever you need them to. So there is options within the Raw Tag Team division. Just which one do we go with? Over on the Smackdown side of things, the Usos defending their tag team championships against The Miz and Shane McMahon.
I'm guessing that we'll probably see a heel turn by The Miz.
Yeah, to me it's going to come down to which one is flipping. Someone's flipping here. Because we got to get to that WrestleMania match.
Yeah. It is what it is. And it probably will happen after the match, after the Usos win cleanly.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible, it ruins the match. It's possible it gets to the end and, as you say, Usos win and then Miz and McMahon have their little bit of a tiff. A little bit of a tiff leading into the split, per se. And then after they split, going forward, their WrestleMania match that will inevitably be set up between the two. But as we're talking about the split of Miz and McMahon, let us look at the reformation of the Shield. Roman Reigns asked nicely, and that's all it took.
That and a couple beatdowns.
Details.
But yeah, it's one last time.
On Fastlane.
Yeah, it's probably for the best that they do this now, so they can get it out of the way. And then Seth can go have his moment at WrestleMania without having to deal with the cash-in to get it. Roman can go off and face whoever he's want to face. Last I heard, Baron Corbin was the last name I heard.
Yep.
Dean can do whatever. I don't know I haven't heard any plans for him.
I've heard simultaneously that Dean is quitting WWE and that he's re-signing with the WWE. Let's see what happens.
Maybe it'll be Dean versus Drew at WrestleMania in a hardcore match or something. And that's how they would write Dean off if he is walking away.
Did you just say that you're going to give Drew the win?
Obviously, if Dean is leaving at WrestleMania, after WrestleMania,
then I'm happy.
Then he would have to put somebody over before leaving. It's only the right thing to do.
Don't care what you just mentioned. Drew McIntyre winning at WrestleMania, good outcome. I'm happy moving forward with that. Don't care about any of the details in between. But yeah, so the Shield, we said they're reforming. Their 6-man tag match is against Baron Corbin, Drew McIntyre, and Bobby Lashley. How much would you be surprised if the heels win?
How surprised were we when Dolph Ziggler won the United States Championship?
Quite.
There's your answer.
I feel like there's no way we do the rejoining of the Shield and they lose. But that means it's the perfect time for them to lose, because nobody sees it coming. It's genius. And it means Drew McIntyre picks up a win. So, something I've just noticed looking at this Fastlane card. Obviously I knew the United States title was not on the line, but Finn's Intercontinental title is also not on the line currently here at Fastlane.
Yeah, the mid-card titles are just floating around right now. It didn't help that they both changed hands within like 2 weeks before the event.
Yeah. And we don't do immediate rematch clauses. Unless your name's McMahon. So, yeah, we'll see with the Intercontinental title what that leads forward into. Obviously, the US title, we know roughly what we're hoping to aim for with John Cena coming into the fray. The Intercontinental will probably just end up in some massive ladder match, because one of the belts always has to.
The Intercontinental seems to be the match that would be put in the ladder match.
Mm.
It would make more sense because there are probably more contenders on the Raw side for the Intercontinental title that could make that match work better than it would be for the United States title side, especially if you are getting John Cena versus Samoa Joe.
Yeah. Raw's upper mid-card, and I think it has a lot to do with the Universal Championship being absent. Raw's upper mid-card is pretty darn strong at the moment. With Elias, McIntyre, Lashley, Corbin, and then you've also got the Shield, obviously, split across the varying levels of main event, Finn holding the title as well, so quite a few options. I think that is... Oh, no, there's one more men's match here. WWE Championship, Daniel Bryan defending against Big KO.
I'm sorry, but KO Mania has been cancelled for Kofi Mania.
Oh. What? You can't do my Kevin Owens like this. How dare you? He earned this opportunity by rocking up. So pretty much we're just seeing this match as a formality at this point.
Pretty much.
Nice. It's just Kevin Owens rocking up, having a match, losing to Daniel Bryan, and then Daniel Bryan Kofi happening at WrestleMania with Kofi Kingston winning and everybody cheering.
Woo!
And no other outcome. That's what's going to happen. Alright, so that's about half of the Fastlane cut. So that means I'm going to play a song, and the song that Josh picked this week was Mr. Samoa Joe's theme. Pretty obvious reason, he won a title. So that's what we'll play for you now. And you're back with the Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and NPR. Grady and Josh are on the other side of the entrance theme now. Fastlane, let's talk about the woman. Where do you want to start? SmackDown, Raw, or Tag?
I would say Tag first because, it's a little more important than the SmackDown side. The Raw side is the most important thing. So it'd probably be best to save for last.
Okay. So let's spin it off with the Women's Tag Team Championship, the Boss and Hug Connection defending against Nia Jax and Tamina.
This should be an interesting match. You definitely are getting a really stiff challenge for Bayley and Banks right off the get-go. I'm assuming they're going to retain them, but it won't be easy.
Yeah, it comes down to percentage odds they win are fairly high, but I don't think they're going to win, as you say, convincingly. but they will probably win.
Yeah, it'll probably be a last-second counter into the bank statement or something that turns the match around for them.
I'll be interested in seeing how we go from here, especially with WrestleMania on the horizon. We got so many options, and NXT New York as well.
Yeah, I probably would have them defend them on TakeOver, because more than likely they're going to end up in the Battle Royal. More than likely, so might as well have them defend them that weekend on the other show.
I'm fairly happy with that. And I'm pretty sure we've talked about it on the show before, not after the show, about the whole 4 Horsewoman saga in my head, where I have them defending it against 2 of them and blah 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 onwards. Not gonna repeat myself.
Yeah, I can definitely see that as a possibility.
You're allowed your I told you so's with this triple threat. I'm a pullin' I told you so if that's what happens. If that's what the New York match is.
Hey, I'll give you the floor. I always do when something is worthy of it.
Well, at the end of the show, we're getting towards the part where you're basically setting up your I told you so next week. But before we get there, as you said, SmackDown Women's Championship, Asuka, the not injured Asuka, having to defend against Mandy Rose.
They really have not cared about this title in the last few weeks. I know Asuka wasn't on last week, or I think even the week before, and then she was barely on this week, but that one's kind of understanding. But yeah, it's an interesting situation, but I don't expect Asuka to lose to Mandy.
No.
Now, if it was Sonya Deville, then I would say that there's a good chance of Sonya winning.
Okay. No faith in Mandy.
None.
I'm gonna put a little bit more faith in Mandy than you. I'm gonna give her a whole 20% chance she wins here. I'm giving her a fair chunk. As you say, they sort of just gave the title to Asuka and then basically forgot about it. I could see them giving it to Mandy with Sonya being the backup, and probably if the title does go to Mandy from this match, it will be because of Sonya. And I could see that dynamic working heading into WrestleMania, but I could also just as easily see Asuka holding on to it, and if she does, I don't quite see a path at WrestleMania for her just yet. This title is probably the most blurry in terms of what the hell are we actually going to see at WrestleMania for it.
Well, in my mind, I'm actually seeing Asuka versus Sonya.
Okay.
At WrestleMania. I could definitely see that being a very distinct possibility.
Just as likely, I could see the title being ignored.
Yeah.
It's basically one of the 3 women's titles will probably be ignored on the WrestleMania card, and it sure as hell ain't gonna be the Raw women's title.
Nope, because that's going on last.
So it's basically a toss-up. The women's tag, or the SmackDown women's, one of them will probably end up in the Rumble, not the Rumble, the Battle Royal, and the other one be defended. I don't see a world in all 3 being defended. They might surprise me.
Otherwise, they're going to really have to pull a lot of talent to fill that Battle Royal. Or shorten the Battle Royal number of participants. Because I can't see them defending all 3 titles, taking, alright, let's say 3 for the main event.
Mm-hmm. 2 for SmackDown.
At least 4 for the tag team titles. And then at minimum 2 for the SmackDown title.
That's 9 out.
And that's 9 people off the roster, the current roster, that would not be available for the Battle Royal.
Yeah. It's doable, but it is very stretched thin, as you say. So,
unless they're just going to scrap that match entirely.
It's possible, given that it got a rename and a very bad plastic trophy. It's possible that they just scrap it, but I don't know. As much as they are just filler matches, I'm quite happy with the Battle Royals of the shove everyone who doesn't have a match at WrestleMania into the Battle Royal, so they at least get to be on the pay-per-view matches. I quite like them, so I'd be a little disappointed if they scrapped it. They're also probably going to be 10 people down because I doubt Alicia Fox shows up. Boomed her. Moving on. Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch. We got our match at Fastlane. It was Rousey. The title got vacated. Then the match was for the vacated title. And then the title got unvacated. And then now it's for Becky's shot in the WrestleMania match. Am I getting this?
Yeah, it was a very convoluted way to do it, but yes, that's what you got. You first had the title supposedly vacated. That's what Stephanie said, that the title had been vacated, and that to crown a new champion at Fastlane, it was going to be Becky versus Charlotte. They were doing the signing for the match for a hold harmless agreement, so that if anything happens to Becky, she can't sue.
Classic.
Yeah. And then, out of nowhere, Ronda shows up, puts the fear of God in Stephanie, and is given back her title. And now the match is with Becky wins, she's added to the main event. And she loses, she's done. Her chances are gone.
Mm-hmm. It seems to be we're furthering that whole McMahon power struggle that we're going to get at some point. With what it seemed to me like Stephanie sort of rocked up the next night and then undid everything, unsuspended Becky, gave her the match at Fastlane. It's like they're just making decisions and then other people are making opposite decisions the next night, and it's a little topsy-turvy. Especially when Triple H is a little busy with Batista and Shane McMahon's a little busy with The Miz. Basically leaves Stephanie and Vince.
And then Vince pretending to be completely senile and not knowing what people want. So it's very interesting, but we all know how the outcome of this match. This is even more obvious than the Royal Rumble was.
So Charlotte wins and it goes on to be a one-on-one? I feel like it's so obvious that there's got to be some form of swerve, but I still see us getting to that triple threat at the end.
The only sort of swerve I can see happening is Ronda getting involved and making sure there's no winner.
Yeah.
In which case, then automatically would be a triple threat. But I just see Becky overcoming the odds in this match, winning the match, and then we get the triple threat.
Mm-hmm. Alright, well, I've realized I've missed a match, so we're going to rewind. I can't believe we both did that. To the pre-show where we're going to get Rey Mysterio versus Andrade.
And you even referenced it earlier, too.
I did. I totally did.
Yeah, this is just, I guess, another building block towards whatever they have planned for them at WrestleMania. I'm going to give Rey the match win this time. just to give them an added incentive for Andrade to want to face him at WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. And then we get that crazy costume that we always get from Ray.
Fair enough. Well, I'm going to say that we're out of time. We were able to slip in the Mysterio Andrade, but it got a little bit of time. It's been great talking to you.
Bye.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/WrestlingRadio, Twitter page, twitter.com/WrestlingRadio, and we'll see you next week with the results of Fastlane.